All right, I'm gonna change this dimmer out. What we did is we changed all of our can lights out to LED trims, and the dimmer that I had in there was not the right dimmer for the LED trims. So I just need to change the dimmer out to the LED trim dimmer, and that's what I'm going to show you how simple that is. First thing you do is you turn off power, go to your electrical panel, turn off the breaker mark to wherever that circuit is. If you don't know where it is, or if it's not labeled, you can have someone on the other end either call them on your phone or yell down the hall, that's the right breaker, that's not, and then figure out what breaker it is. I'm just going to start by pulling the cover off, which is simple as just pulling the screws out. It'll give me access to the switches. And you'll notice I have my gloves on. That's because the power is on. I did not turn the power off, but I highly encourage you to turn the power off. Just because I do this as much as I do, it's quicker and easier for me to do it with the power on than to turn the power off. And I especially encourage you with the dimmer switch to do it with the power off, because it's easy to short out your dimmer switch. A lot of people have cordless drills. You just have a couple of Phillips screws. Pull your screws out, and that'll get your access to your switch so you can unwire it. There we go. I'm just going to pull it straight out to give me access to my wires. You just take your screwdriver, as simple as loosening them up and getting the wires off of them. Where it's a single pole switch, it's not critical as to where on the switch that it goes if it's just a single pole switch with the two screws on it. A lot of switches will have a third switch because it could be used as a single pole or a three-way. Then that would be critical. And matter of fact, the switch that I'm going to be putting on it is that style of a switch that can be used as a single pole or a three-way, which is the most common switch that we use because we do a lot of three-ways and single pole lights. So what I did there was I unhooked the first two, my hot and my switch leg, and then this, of course, is my ground. Every switch should be grounded. Older homes may not have a ground. Here's my new switch. Just pull it out of the box. You'll see it has a place for ground. Here we'll just use a wire nut. Wire nut that to it because it doesn't have a place for that. And then you'll notice this does have two gold screws and a brown brass screw. Your brown brass screw on this particular one is going to be your hot. If you look up in there, you'll see that one of these has a wire nut on it that's pigtailed out with these other wires. And you know that that one is going to be your hot, and the other one will be your switch leg. So I'm looking at this one here. This one is my power coming in on my switch. This one is my switch leg. I'm just going to hook it to the same side of the switch because it's going to act as a single pole. I'll hook my bottom in. And what I noticed behind me is the light came on, but that's simply because like I mentioned before, I was working it live. What that tells me on this particular switch, because if you notice I have the switch in the off position and the dimmer all the way down, that tells me that this wire needs to be hooked on the other side of the switch. So we'll just go along the bottom side. Then that light won't be on. Notice I'll just bend it back around it like it was. And it looks like it came unbent just a little bit, so I'll take my needle nose pliers, put a little hook there, get that around my screw, tighten up my screw. Just make sure that your wire goes around it so that as it tightens it so that it goes the way the screw turns. If I'd have put it the other way, then it could loosen as it comes off. And then the ground wire, I'll just straighten that out with my pliers. I'll grab a ground or a wire nut and I'll put this wire nut on. Get my ends even together. Put on my wire nut. Check the light. Make sure the dimmer's working. It's got a little setting on here where I can rotate that. There we go. And then you'll see that the light works like it's designed to. That little dial will adjust it because it is a dimmer. That'll allow you the intensity of the dimming. And then we'll roll our ground in out of the way. And we'll put our screws back in. It's really that simple. Line up my holes. I like to have my screws lined up with the center of those holes. And that dimmer switch is installed. And you'll see that it has these flutes on the sides. You'll see I broke these off. What those do is just help absorb the heat in the dimmer switch. And then we'll just simply put our cover back on. I like to push all the screws in so I don't lose them. When I try to put them back on, they don't pop out. And I just like to get the screw started before I screw it all the way tight. That'll just help me get it lined up. And then just get all the screws tightened up. I like to put them all straight across horizontal. They all line up that way. A lot of electricians like to do them vertical. It's just a matter of preference. So another little trick too is if there's any little scuffs, you can get a magic eraser, just wet it down a little bit, and it'll get out the little scuffs, which is a neat little trick you can use throughout the house. Not just on light switches, but magic eraser works for a lot of things. And that's got that done. It dims now, and it's the right dimmer for my lights, and that's your finished product.